Today we're going to be talking about what every California homeowner needs to be doing now. In this video, I'll be covering the action items if you own a home. I'm going to be covering how the fires will affect property values, and I will be covering, if you were affected by the fire, what you need to do to stay in a strong financial position. Now, if you're new to the channel, I've been a mortgage lender for 18 years. My business started out in California. I actually was born in California and lived there till about 2 years ago. One of the reasons I moved is I couldn't sleep at night when the wind started howling. The reason is I lived right by the Tubbs fire. And after going through that, being evacuated multiple years in a row, it was time to move. Now, here's what every California homeowner, renter, everybody should be doing right now. Number one, you need to be reaching out to your local politicians, your local fire chief, and you need to be asking, number one, what is our fire budget? Has it been cut? Do we have the resources needed to fight a fire? That's number one, okay? Number two, how much water do we have? Are the reservoirs full? What is going on with our reservoirs? Have you tested the hydrants? Have you tested the pressure? Are we prepared? Los Angeles has brought to a national, international level the failures of local politicians to properly protect their citizens. Now look, would this have stopped the fire in full? No. But having water, would it have helped? Absolutely. Having the resources the fire chief had pleaded for, would that have helped? Absolutely. So it's important that communities in California start to band together to hold their politicians accountable and make sure that they have the resources needed should a fire break out. Because let's get to the reality of this. It's California. There's always fires, and it's a myriad of reasons. And a lot of them could be curtailed, but it's not like a big shock, right? It's not like, oh, we didn't know there might be a fire. Okay, so hold them accountable. That's number one. Now, if you're a homeowner in California, even if you're not in LA, you need to make sure you have insurance. A lot of people don't check their mail, and you could have been canceled. You may not even realize it. You could have it where you're paying your mortgage company every single month, but maybe they got the cancellation and didn't recognize it either. There's stupid things that happen, and you just don't want it to affect you. So go online, verify that your policy is in effect. Now, something that I think you should do every single year, and this goes to all states, do a video of your entire home. Do it. I do it every year. You walk through the room, you open the drawers, you show everything. I got this sofa at Pottery Barn. This is a KitchenAid toaster. I have two can openers are like $20 now. You want to point this stuff out because if anything ever happens to your home, whether it's fire, flood, whatever, this video is going to make your insurance claim a heck of a lot easier. Okay. Now, the other thing as a homeowner, if you've done any upgrades to your house, so let's say that you redid your bathroom, I would make sure your insurance company knows, and I would make sure you're properly insured. What we found after the Tubbs fire, that was the big Santa Rosa fires, horrible. That's what gave me my nightmares, is that so many people were underinsured. They didn't have enough money to rebuild. It was impossible. They had enough money, like $400,000, $500,000, whereas the cost to rebuild was $6, $7, $8. So you really want to make sure you're properly insured. And once again, this is something that I would say you want to do everywhere in the United States, okay? But Californians, you really need to be mindful of this because I've seen it ruin people's lives, okay? Okay, that's what every California homeowner should know. California homebuyers, insurance, what's going to happen? We don't know yet. Here's the thing. We see these big fires and we had the Tubbs fire, the Paradise fire, and premiums go up. And California Fair Plans had to do more and more areas because insurers are pulling out. I would advise, if you're actively home shopping, to get an updated quote. If you're not looking right now, but you're thinking you want to look in summer, wait till these fires are out to get a quote. If you're looking right now, I would make sure before you write an offer on a house, just get a quote. You know, the alarming thing about this fire is that portions of the places that burnt, they weren't even in the fire zone. That's the thing. You know, my little sister, she's actually affected by this fire. Her house has not burnt down. She bought a house 6 months ago. Her insurance wasn't crazy expensive. It wasn't hard to get. She's not in a fire zone. But guess what? She's currently in an evacuation warning zone. So I think we're going to see the fire maps in California change a bit. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. So make sure you're getting a quote when you write an offer on a house, because it may determine whether or not you buy the house. Now, if you've been shopping in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas and you already think housing is expensive, it's about to get more expensive. So what we see after fires of this magnitude is we see housing prices jump. And the reason's simple. You already had low supply. Now the supply is even lower. You're going to have some people who choose not to rebuild, but rather just to buy, whether it's 10, 20, 30 minutes away. And you now have a lot of new competition coming into the market. And that will take a couple months, but I would suspect that by the spring market, you're going to see a lot of new competition. It's not just movie star houses that burnt down. You're going to see the luxury market, I think, and this is going to be interesting, in different parts of California start to jump. And you're also going to see people leave the state. So if you're one of the people and you're like, you know, I live in LA and I've been thinking of moving, I've always wanted to move to Florida or Texas, keep an eye on the market, because this may be your time to get out, because you will get more for your house after the fires than before. It's a sad but true fact. After the Tubbs fire, my dad was in that area and his house wasn't affected. It got within like 50 feet. I'm not kidding. And his house is surrounded by trees, everything. You know, we got him out of there quick, okay? But yeah, it got real close. He sold his house for way more than he could have sold it for prior to the fires. And I think he sold 6 months to a year afterwards. And they didn't just sell because of that. They sold because they had PTSD from it. And he'd always wanted to live in Santa Fe. So they moved to Santa Fe. So if you've been thinking, you know, I've been thinking I want to leave California, and you own a home in LA or the surrounding areas, I do think you're going to see your housing price bump up. Rents are going to get even worse. I hate to tell everyone who's a renter, it's going to get worse, for the simple fact of you have thousands of people who now need rentals, and a lot of people have to work in the area and they can't afford to move somewhere else or go somewhere else. You know, doctors, nurses, first responders, all those people have to be in a certain area, and you're going to see rents go up because of that. You're also going to see new properties hit the market for rent, but they're not going to be affordable. They're going to be astronomical. You're going to see stuff where houses that are 4-bedroom, 3-bath are $50K a month, whereas normally it would have been $8. And that's because there is a housing shortage, and the insurance companies are going to end up paying for it. We saw it with the Tubbs fire. So as an LA buyer, would I be discouraged by this? Yeah, I would right now. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you and be like, oh no, it's going to be fine, LA home buyers. No, it's not. It's going to get really expensive really quick. There's a couple month window here before everybody figures out what their insurance is going to do. But once people have money to go out and spend, I think you're going to see prices going up. Also, LA was just listed as one of the least affordable housing markets in America. Only 1.6% of houses are deemed affordable. This was before the fire, okay? So I'm sorry I don't have good news for you there. If you have a house and you want to leave, great time. If you're trying to buy a house in LA, it's going to suck. Sorry. Surrounding areas are going to be rough as well. Okay, now, if you're currently in contract to buy a house in LA, can the seller jack up the price? If you're in contract, you're in a legally binding contract. So no. Have we seen people try to do this in the past, like after the Tubbs fire? Yeah, we did. We had clients who were getting real estate attorneys because you do see people get stupid and go, oh, well, I'm just going to kick them out of contract and get more money. Guard that contract, okay? Also, make sure that, when I say guard that contract, what I mean is like if the seller decides they want to cancel and your agent's like, well, they want to cancel, get an attorney, get a real estate attorney. If you still want that house, get a real estate attorney, because if you're in a legally binding contract, the seller generally can't just be like, I don't want to sell, right? But a lot of real estate agents aren't strong enough or educated enough to know that like, hey, this is a legally binding contract. Now, homeowners insurance. If you got a homeowners insurance 1, 2, 3 weeks ago, guess what? It's garbage. So if you're in contract on a house in LA, I would check in with the insurance company that you were going to be getting your insurance with. I would make sure they're still insuring in California, and I would see if they have an updated quote. They may not yet. Okay. And the reason I say that is right now, am I closing, as I film this video, am I closing any deals in Los Angeles County? No. It's a no zone right now. Once it got declared a natural disaster area, lenders stopped lending, title insurance stopped closing, and insurance companies stop closings because we all have to verify the house will be standing. And you may be like, well, I'm far from Pacific Palisades and the one near me is good. Doesn't matter. There's going to have to be a large level of containment before anyone is going to close on that house. So expect delays. And you may be like, oh my God, well, the seller will push me out because of a delay. Not necessarily. Like what I've seen over the years with fires is that most of the time people are incredibly understanding and they know you can't close. Once in a while, you'll get a real estate agent that has no clue how this works. They'll be like, well, I talked to another lender and they'll close you. No, Becky, they won't. They won't. So what's going to happen is even if you are not right by the biggest fire, we are going to have to verify. If we already did an appraisal, I've got to verify again. I'm going to have to send someone out to verify that house is standing before you close, even if you're 20 minutes away. So be prepared for delays. Can't stress it enough. Okay, water sip, and then we're going to talk about if you are affected by the fires. Okay. Now, if you were affected by the fires, there's been so many evacuations, I would be very cautious about what you make a claim for. If your house burnt down, make a claim, okay? I can't stress it enough. Make a claim, call in now. If you're spending a lot of money on a hotel, I wouldn't make a claim. So this is my personal opinion and my personal experience. What I have learned over the years is you do not make an insurance claim unless it is something you cannot afford. And the reason is it's kind of like a black mark against you. And if you're in an area that already has issues, the last thing you want to do is rile up your insurance company. So if you spend $1,000 on hotels and you're like, well, my deductible is $500, I wouldn't do it. Talk to your insurance agent. But I had a client a couple of years ago, her suitcase had been stolen and her insurance agent had gone, oh, well, you can make a claim on your house. So she made a claim on her house to get the suitcase, and then someone drove into her house, not her fault, and she made a claim because obviously they drove into her house. That cost a lot of money. Then there was an issue with the construction. They dropped her. None of it was her fault, but she got dropped. So just be very cautious about that. One thing to know as well is LA County. I was doing some research this morning. If you lost your house in the fire, there's a form that you need to fill out and you need to submit it to the property county tax assessor. I'm going to have a link to that information. Do it now. And I say that because a lot of times people go, oh, if you Google it, it's like, oh, counties will reassess automatically. Not based on what I was reading. You need to submit this form, and you want to submit this form. Otherwise, you're going to continue paying taxes on a property that doesn't have a house, and your land value is far lower. So since there's no house, your property taxes, if you fill out this form, will go down dramatically, and you want to do that as soon as possible. Now, should you stop paying your property taxes until this is settled? No. Keep paying your property taxes. Get the form in, document that you did the form, document everything you're paying. Even if your house burns down, you still need to pay your monthly mortgage and your monthly insurance. And sometimes people are super shocked. They're like, why would I pay a mortgage on a house that's not here? You have to. It's that simple. Mortgage lenders require homeowners insurance because we want to make sure we get paid. And you're going to continue paying your mortgage because ultimately your insurance is either going to help you rebuild that house that you have a mortgage on, or they're going to give you money to pay off the mortgage and you get what's left. Okay, that's something that really catches people because they assume they don't have to pay their mortgage. They assume they don't have to pay their insurance. They assume they don't have to pay their property taxes. No, you have to pay it all. Okay, and I'm not saying that to be harsh or because I'm a money grubbing lender. I'm saying this because I've seen people get really hurt by not paying those bills. So fill out the tax form, keep on paying your taxes, call your mortgage servicer and say, hey, I just lost my house in this fire. What are my next steps? Call your insurance company. Okay, now, two important things. With your insurance company, a lot of times the adjuster comes out and they give you a number. I wouldn't go with that number. From what I've seen and from what I've personally experienced, you're gonna wanna write down every single thing you did. It's gonna be tedious, guys. It's gonna be horrible. It's gonna be life-sucking. It's gonna be the worst. It is gonna be your distraction from the misery and heartache. You are gonna focus on, okay, I had a can opener. How much was it? How many pairs of shoes do I think I had? If you have a video of your house, this is much easier. If not, I would be going through credit cards, looking for receipts, like did you buy a couch this year? What did you buy? What improvements did you do to the house? The insurance company does not know any of this. And without knowing any of this, they're gonna give you a low ball number. You need to get your money back. So you need to be as detailed as possible. If you write down toaster, they're gonna look at a toaster at Walmart that was $5. They're not gonna know that you really like toast and you spent $150 on a toaster. The more tedious, life-sucking documentation you go, the better you'll do. The better you'll do, okay? Okay, and I say this because recently I had a claim, and I have a really good insurance company, and when the adjuster came, they offered me $80,000, and ultimately when I had a contractor come out and bid it, it went up to $300,000. In reality, it cost me over $500,000 to actually do. So you really want to be thinking about it. You know, your bathrooms, was it marble? Was it tile? What was the material? Because there's huge cost differences on that. Your flooring, was it wood floor? Was it laminate? What was it? Like for like, go through pictures, go through credit card statements, be as detailed as possible. Don't think that they're just gonna write you a check that's worth more than your stuff. It doesn't happen, okay? The other thing to know is that really be careful of fraud. So what happens a lot in times like this is every single scammer who's a contractor comes out of the woodwork, because the bottom line is rebuilding's not going to be quick. You know, the top contractors are going to be years out. You want to start researching now who your contractor is going to be. Start looking at the cost of finishes. Figure out if you want to rebuild or if you're just going to take the money, pay off your mortgage, and buy a new house. A lot of times people end up in this category because when they start researching over here, it could be 2, 3, 4 years. If anyone's approaching you and they're like, oh, I've got a crew coming in from Florida or Mississippi, wherever, you know, we can get this done in 4 months. Bullshit. Bullshit. We see it happen all the time. So look at the prior fraud cases that have happened because of the Tubbs or Paradise fires. A lot of times you see these contractors go after people who don't have mortgages. And the reason's simple. If you don't have a mortgage and you make a claim with your insurance, they give you all the money. So you can basically light all your money, give it all away to a contractor. No one's going to hold them accountable. If you have a mortgage, when you get that check from insurance, you don't get it. It goes to the mortgage company. They're going to send it to you, but the mortgage company is who holds the money. So that's why you want to talk to your servicer, but the mortgage company is not going to give you a big chunk of money. They dip it out. There's inspections. It's a whole process. And look, is it fun? No. Is it easy? No. I mean, guys, the claim that I had was for damage done to an apartment in New York. Like, I'm still trying to get the last money. Like, there's more forms my contractor has to fill out. Like, I fronted 90% of the project. So you really want to be mindful of that. Talk to the mortgage company about what the process will be with insurance. You know, figure out if you're going to rebuild or if you're going to buy. Also, talk to your insurance. Hey, are you going to reinsure this if I build? It's a good question to ask. So if your house was affected by the fires, once again, I'm so sorry. I send you love and so much sympathy. You'll get through it, but you just have to really keep your eyes open. Go to forums where people have been through this before. Watch out for the scammers and just know that you will get to the finish line. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's nothing I can say. There's nothing. We all know this. There's nothing you can say in a situation like this. So I'm sorry for your loss. Okay, so look, that's my overview for California. Hold those politicians accountable. Make sure this doesn't happen anywhere else for these dumb reasons, such as lack of water, lack of pressure, lack of funding. If you're buying, it's going to affect the market. It's going to be more expensive. If you own and you're thinking of leaving California, it could be a good time. And if you lost your house, make sure you're filing that form with LA to get your property taxes reduced. Make sure you're paying everything as normal. You know, look, cancel your cable, cancel your internet, cancel your PG&E, cancel that water bill. You may think all those services will just stop charging you. They won't. So cancel them all now. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video helped.